Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening. How are you people? Hope I'm audible to all. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, good. Thank you. So let's continue with the next topic. All right. So hope you all can hear me, right? Please confirm. Okay, fine. So today we'll continue with the Tomcat server integration with Jenkins. So if we can have a quick recap of what we discussed today, like we have created a CI/CD pipeline that can automate the application builds, right? And we have prepared the Jenkins master and slave nodes to perform this automated builds, right? And using this pipeline, we were able to identify the source code and perform the event build. Yesterday, you have witnessed how the artifacts are getting created, right? So now once artifacts are ready, it will be promoted to the target environment, that is to your test environment or can be any higher environments. So in order to run your web applications, we have a Tomcat web application server configured in the remote environment. So in our yesterday's session, we have launched these three nodes. And as part of Tomcat server, we have installed it here, right? So if you can see, let me connect to this Tomcat server first. All right, so this is the Tomcat server. And in this Tomcat server, we have so let me start the service, start.sh. So now the Tomcat server is up and running. And similarly, if I get into my slave node, I want to connect to my slave node through MobiXterm. That is my build server. And in this build server, we are going to have our application artifacts. So this we have completed yesterday, right? So you should know how we can able to perform this application builds using your Jenkins pipeline. Are you guys comfortable with this? Any question? So Jenkins agent is offline means your Jenkins master could not start your service. Like for example, if I'll just start this Jenkins master now. Let me log in Jenkins master. I'll just use this public IP address and let me just log in. Oh, I'm trying to log into this server now. If your T2 micro is not responding, right, you can increase it to T2 medium. Sometimes, no, if you're creating more jobs, that 1 GB RAM might not be sufficient. So you can able to add more CPUs there. All right. So now if you can see here, as soon as I log into my service, right, the slave node is getting launched. Can you see this? Right? The Jenkins service is started and it is automatically launching the node actually, right? So if you properly configure your Jenkins master and slave architecture as per the steps, whatever I provide with you, your Jenkins service will automatically start. All right, you know to manually start the service. So whenever the agent is offline because Jenkins failed to launch agent means you have to check the node's IP address, the username and the credentials, whatever you used. Correct. And ensure that you made that host key verification strategy as a manual one. So for the very first time, you have to manually verify that host key verification. Easy. We have to manually verify that. We need to manually verify that, then only it will work. Easy. So the next topic in the list is about your deployment. So what are the changes we made in our slave node, the artifacts that we want to deploy in the Tomcat server? So what is the target directory here? As part of our deployment, we have seen, right? We have identified the source server. Means in our source server, in this target folder, we have a war file. So this is what I told you yesterday when we are leaving. And in the Tomcat server, under this directory, I want to maintain my artifacts. So this is the target folder, correct? So any question on this thing, let me know for next 5 minutes. If you have any question, we'll address that and we'll move on to next topic. Hey, is that clear to everyone or like any questions? I'm not getting response from everyone here. Okay, I need response from everyone. Anyone who are unable to understand anything, starting from day one, anyone is there who never understand anything here? Hmm, please confirm. Guys, I'm trying to understand. Okay, let me know. Okay, if you want, I can cover this topic first, and then the last 30-45 minutes, right, we can have for discussion. Any question, like any topic in Jenkins or in your previous module, you can ask me now. Got it? Can we plan like that? So now let's come back to this process. So as part of our DevOps workflow, we have identified the source code, perform the application build and create the artifacts. Now the artifact has to be promoted to the target environment for further testing. So if you are getting confused in this process, first you need to understand the process of SDLC. So whenever we develop any software, the software should be properly tested in the test environment, then only it can be deployed to production environment, right? So how we can able to automatically promote the changes to test environment? That is what we're going to do through our pipeline, right? So if you have any question on this, please let me know. Yesterday we discussed about the Tomcat integration, right? So did you get a chance to go through that? Okay, so you guys already configured the Tomcat, right? Then it should be fine. So the next thing is we are going to prepare this Jenkins master with the publish OSS plugin. Okay. So we'll configure this publish OSS plugin, and using this plugin, we can able to copy any artifacts to the target server through Jenkins. Okay. So 1 minute, let me restart my server. So I just stopped all these instances. I'm going to change the instance type. I hope you know how to change the instance type, right? Medium. Not mandatory, but if the response is not good, in that case, you can scale it up. That is the reason we use cloud platform, right? Whenever we need to add more resources, we can able to quickly add the resources, right? Hope my voice is loud and clear to everyone, or any distractions. If anything, let me know right away. Okay. All right. Issues as of now. Super. Okay, okay, that is the issue. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. We'll do that. No problem. So here, what we are going to do here is, let me stop this. All right. So I'm using Hyper-V with 4 GB RAM, better performance, screen gets stuck. Your Hyper-V gets stuck or what? What happened? Okay. So I changed all the instance types now. So let me log into all these nodes one by one. Hmm. So this is the node which is running with T2 medium, and I just want to access this now. 8080. Right. And similarly, let's log into this slave node, Jenkins slave node. Ops admin, CD2 workspace directory, CD2S. Right. And similarly, let's connect to our Tomcat server once again. One, two, one, two. So this is the working directory which we are going to use. This is your Tomcat server. And this is your, what is it? Build server. That is your slave node. Okay. So now in this target folder, we have the artifacts. Okay. So I just want to deploy these artifacts to my Tomcat server. From slave node, we want to copy these artifacts to the Tomcat server web apps folder. So this is a requirement. All right. So this will be done through your Jenkins. So if you log into Jenkins, you should be able to access your Jenkins services. And first thing, we need to install and configure the publish over SSH plugin. So till now we have configured our Tomcat server and the slave node. We are ready with the target server configuration. Everything is good now. Next step, we need to install this publish OS plugin Jenkins master node. And then using that plugin, we are going to copy the file from your slave node to the target machine. Right. So now go to manage Jenkins, and under manage Jenkins, it's loading. Right. So under manage Jenkins, just go to the plugins management first. This is the continuation of yesterday's topic. Yesterday, we have configured the Tomcat server. Now we are going to integrate it in our Jenkins master. For that integration, we have to install a plugin called Publish OSH plugin. Right. So first, let me check if I have already installed the plugin, because I believe last time I showed you something. Just go to the install plugins tab and check if it is already available. If not, go to available plugins tab and search for it. It's not yet installed, right? So what you can do, you can go to available plugins tab. Yeah, manage Jenkins. And under that, we have something called plugins management. And there under available plugins tab, search for publish OSS plugin and install with restart option. Okay, install with restart option. That's it. So this will allow you to install it. So now I'm on the server plugins. Let me search for the publish over SSH. So this plugin is available here. I can choose this and install it. So while it is getting installed, right, you can enable the checkbox to restart your Jenkins service because this plugin requires restart so that it can be accessible through your snippet generator. Right. So just enable this checkbox. Automatically Jenkins will get restarted. Upon installation, it will restart. Easy. Only the Jenkins server will get restarted, not the entire VM. Right. Now, once this is done, all that you should do here is go to Manage Jenkins and System Configuration. There you can able to configure the Tomcat server using publish over SSH. Right, so now you can see it has restarted. And if I go to the install plugins tab here, I should be able to see that plugin gets installed. It should be available. All right, so now you can go to your system configuration. Click on the system. Under Manage Jenkins, go to your global system configuration. Okay. Just go to that Manage global system configuration. It's available. And under this global system configuration, just scroll down, go till the end of the page. At the end of the page, you can see something called Publish OSS plugin configurations available for you. So this you can find at the end of the page because we just install the plugin, right? It will be at the end. So just go to the end of the page and you can see something called Publish or SSH. And this is the place where we can integrate our Tomcat server. So here you can see something called add option, right? Can you see this? Can you able to see this add button? So click on that add button. It will open up a dialog to configure your SS server. So I just want to create or integrate a Tomcat server. So I can simply assign a name like Tomcat server. Or I can simply tag it as a QA server. I want to consider it as a QA environment. So I can say it is a QA server. And the host name, right? It should be the private IP address of your Tomcat server. Copy the private IP address of Tomcat server and have it here. And what is the username? It should be your DevOps admin, right? So I want to use DevOps admin as a username through which I can connect to the remote server. And what is the remote directory here? What is the remote directory? Where I want to copy the artifacts, it should be copied to this web apps folder, right? I told you that. So you can able to use this. So this is my target directory. So using publish OSS plugin, we are integrating the Tomcat server. And I just want to interact with the server as a DevOps admin user and access this directory. So to access a directory, we need a credential, right? So there is an option called advanced option. Just click on this advanced and you can find one checkbox, use password authentication or any other key. Just enable this checkbox and you can find a key field here. It's a multi-line text box. So in this multi-line text box, you can enter the private key. So I'll just go back to the home directory of DevOps admin user, cd2.ssh folder. So if you remember, yesterday we have created these keys, right? You remember? And from here, you can copy that private key. You see, that's it. Simple. So I repeat, enter your remote server name and it can be anything for your reference. And the host name should be the private IP address of your Tomcat server. Username is what we have created in Tomcat server. And for the credential, you can able to enable this checkbox under advanced settings, enable checkbox and enter the private key of the DevOps user. Once you enter all these parameters, just click on test configuration. If all your input parameters like the username, host name, and the key, if it is valid, it will say that this test configuration is successful. That means Jenkins can able to interact with that Tomcat server using publish OS plugin. If you miss any of these parameters, let's say if you misplace your keys or your username, for example, if I say something like this, and if I try to configure it again, it says fail to connect and it initializes this connection. So it's authentication failure, right? So that is what there is. So if you properly follow the steps and enter the host name, username, and the keys properly, your connection will be successfully established. Easy? Any question here? Guys, do you have any question? All good? See, what I did here is I have installed the publish OS plugin. You're clear with that level, right? Okay, once it is installed, go to the Jenkins global system configuration page. And at the end of the page, you can see publish OS plugin configuration. There you can click on add. Okay. If you click on that add button, it will open up a dialog to enter the remote server details. Like what are all the servers you want to configure? Like for example, here in this case, I want to add my Tomcat server. I want to tag it as QA server. I just entered his name. The name can be anything for your reference. And the host name should be the private IP address of your Tomcat server. And the username should be the DevOps user through which you want to interact with Tomcat server. And the remote directory where you want to publish your artifacts. Right. And under advanced settings, you can be able to enable your password checkbox and enter the credentials here, private IP, private key here. That's it. With all these parameters, if you execute this, it should be successful. All right. So this PowerShell plugin is meant for handling the remote servers to Jenkins master, not your slave node. You cannot use publish OS plugin to configure your slave node because slave node is considered an agent to Jenkins. Jenkins uses a slave node to schedule the jobs, right? Not to schedule the deployment. Right. So any external server you want to integrate or copy some files or artifacts, you can use publish OS plugin and you cannot use it in your slave node configuration. Is that clear? Like this, you can able to add any number of servers. Like for example, here I added QA server. Upon QA testing, if I want to promote to UAT environment, I can click on this add button, right? So we have add button here. Just click on add button and you can enter the server name like, and give all the required parameters of UAT server. Similarly, you can add for production server also. Right. So tomorrow I'll show you how you can able to add your Kubernetes cluster also here. All right, like this, you can able to attach any number of remote servers to your Jenkins master. Yeah, we are connecting the Tomcat server with your Jenkins master. I told you yesterday, right? Jenkins acts as an interface. Jenkins server acts as an interface between your slave node and Tomcat server. So we need to integrate this Tomcat server with Jenkins master using SSH. You see? Hope it's clear to all. Is that clear to everyone here? So let me apply the changes. That's it. Once you're done with this, you can go to your Jenkins dashboard, go to your pipeline project configuration. Yeah. So just go to the configuration of the project. And here we are going to update this last stage. So far we are comfortable with the SCM checkout and build. And now we're going to update the stage. So to do this, what you can do here is you can use the snippet generator. Go to this pipeline syntax. It will take you to the snippet generator. Priyanka, yesterday I told you SCM checkout means it is just a process of downloading a source code to your build server. Are you not getting the point? In your Git module, you must have done your Git clone, right? Have you done Git clone? Yes. So SCM checkout means it is a process of cloning your Git repository, application source code repository into the build server, the slave node. That is SCM checkout. Understood? Now, I am on this snippet generator. Here, there is a sample step. Use this drop down and search for SSH publisher. Can you see this? We have SSH publisher here. So you will get this option only when you restart your Jenkins service after installing Tomcat. Right? First, listen to what I'm speaking, then you can ask your questions, okay? While I'm explaining, if you type your question, you can't understand what I'm speaking. So better stay focused. I'll give you time for your QA. There you can able to ask your questions. Don't mix the things. Right? So far what we did, we have integrated the Tomcat server with Jenkins master. Now that our integration is successfully completed, because we can see the connection is successful. Now I'm going to use this Jenkins pipeline to copy the artifacts from the slave node to your Tomcat server. To do this, I need to write a script, right? So using publish ORSS plugin, I'm going to generate a script now. So listen carefully, go to snippet generator, and here you can use the drop down, choose the SSH publisher plugin step. And here you can able to see under SSH server, there are 3 servers we configured. Can you see this? So in which server you want to deploy changes, just choose a server. Ours is QA server now. And what you want to transfer. I want to copy the artifacts that is present in my target folder. Under workspace directory, I have a target folder. Within the target folder, I have some WAR file. I just want to copy this WAR file to the remote directory. So what is the remote directory we should choose here? What is the remote directory? So whatever the remote directory configured in your QA server. So this is the remote directory configured in QA server, right? I want to use the current directory of this QA server. So just say dot. Don't type the web apps folder name again, because we have already configured it in our SSH server configuration. So what are the directories you have configured here? You are just going to use it in your script. Just say dot. Hope you know, right? In Linux environment, dot denotes the current directory. So I'm going to use the current directory of this server. That is your web apps folder. You see? Now, as per the process, from your source server, we just want only the WAR file to be copied into this Tomcat server. I don't want to copy the entire target folder name and all. It's not required. Here, in my target folder, I need only the WAR file name along with the extension. It should not have these keywords like target and all. So there is an option to remove prefix. So from my input file path, I just want to remove this prefix. So what will happen now? Your Jenkins, master will identify the target folder and remove the prefix. So only the WAR file which is available in target folder will be copied to the target environment. You see, so these are all some syntax you need to take care. So I repeat, go to your snippet generator, choose SSH publisher, and under SSH server, choose QA as your input server parameter. And under the source file, you have to identify what all the source file you want to copy. Because from your workspace directory, the target folder gets created as part of build, and it creates a WAR file. So from here, you want to filter out only the WAR file. So just remove the prefix. And it should be copied to this current directory of this QA server. That's it. So with all these parameters, if you click on generate script, you can find this option. So you got the script now, right? You can simply have it here. I'll just copy this once. So here under the steps, we can have script. So under script, you need to keep this content. So that is how it should be coded as part of your SSH publisher. Right. So any question on this? So now once you have the script ready, if you can see this as a publisher, it is going to use this QA server as a target server, and it is going to identify the WAR file that is available in your slave node. It removes the prefix and copy into the remote directory. All other parameters are optional. It is not required for this use case. But tomorrow, if you use Kubernetes, there you'll be adding a few more components there. I'll show you how to use while working with Kubernetes. Now, let us use this in our script. Right. So this is how we prepare our script. You don't need to manually type it. If you are using your traditional scripted pipeline, you have to manually type everything. Now using snippet generator, see how quickly we can generate it. So you need to identify the parameters. With that parameter, it will generate the script automatically. Like this, when you progress more, right, you'll be getting some complex scripts that can be generated. We have a huge list of build steps available For each and every build step, you need to manually create a script. Just you need to be aware of the input parameters that is required for that. Simple. So any question here? Any question, guys? Please let me know. Hope things are clear to everyone, or anyone still having any concern? Sandeep, are you able to understand now? Yes, no? Yeah, we are creating everything in the master node only, right? In the master node only, we are preparing this CSD pipeline, right? See, we are understand the basics first, okay? I already told you Jenkins master node is just to create a CSD pipeline, right? We are doing all these activities in Jenkins master node only. Once it is created, the job will get executed in the slave node. It creates artifacts. Once artifact is ready, using publish OS plugin, we are copying the artifact to the Tomcat server. Simple. Right. So now that I'm on this Tomcat server, so let me navigate to that OPD directory, Tomcat web apps. As of now, this file folder is not having any artifacts. So now let me trigger this job. Let me save this configuration and run this job. Yeah, the build is scheduled to run. Yeah, snippet is pasted in the master server script. That is what I'm saying. So now the build number 4 is getting executed. See, this job is successfully completed. The SCM checkout is done. It is performing on slave node. So as part of your application build stage, it is performing the application build and artifacts is created now and deployed to target server stage. It is connected to the Tomcat server and it is transferred one file, right? So now if you go to your Tomcat server and if you explore the data set, folder, you can see that WAR file is copied into this. You see, so as per the architecture, your Jenkins master acts as an interface between your Jenkins slave node and your Tomcat server. So the artifacts, whatever we created here, it gets copied into this Tomcat server's web apps folder using this Jenkins master. You see, like this, you can able to deploy your changes to your UAT server as well as to your prod server in the future. You see, any question? Any question here? You able to understand? Guys, any question? Let's say something here. See, so with this, we have deployed. Yeah, we have the war file extension, right? This is what no in your Tomcat in your build server. So what you can see in this build server, the war file is available, right? So if you want to deploy changes to any target server using Jenkins, you can use publish or resist plugin. It is meant for that purpose only. Correct. If you don't want to use publish or resist plugin, you can able to use Ansible, or you can use your Kubernetes for all those things. Correct. So now that we have deployed this into a target server, and it means you should be able to access the application now. What is there? What are the two files here in Tomcat server? This is a file. This is not the file. This is just a folder directory. It maintains all the components, the metadata of that artifact is maintained there. It is part of that deployment process. The war file list, this is what war file. Understood? This is a war file. This is not a file. This is a directory used to maintain the metadata. Tomcat creates it automatically. So any question on this? So in our yesterday's session, I showed you, right? Once a Tomcat is up and running, you can able to access through web browser. Now, this is just a base version, okay? The base or home page of Tomcat. In our case, we have deployed the artifacts, right? This is artifacts. This is a web application artifacts. That means developer has created one web application. It has been deployed in this Tomcat server. So how to access it means using the artifacts name, like this is the artifact name, right? Use this name here in your web browser. See? So this is just a web application, Spring Boot web application that is created by the developer and it is getting executed in your Tomcat server now. So this is how the people will launch their websites. Like if you're using your LMS portal or AWS console, right? All these things are web applications. This was developed in their dev environment, tested, and it is getting deployed through to their web service. Using the web browser, we are accessing that web application now. Easy? Are you able to understand what is happening here, all of you? Can you able to understand what is happening or any other questions? So The process is very simple. It's all starts from this development level, right? I told you initially, as part of your coding and development, developers uses the dev environment to do the coding and development. Once the development is completed, the changes has to be built, right? It has to be compiled, the artifact should be created, unit tests should be performed. Once this is completed, then the change should be promoted to the target server. So through the promotion, we can use Ansible or any other deployment plugins like Publisher plugin or SSH. And once these are promoted to test environment, people can do the automated testing and then can be even promoted to the UAT or production environment. So just think on developer's point of view now. Developer, what they did, they just created the source code and committed the source code to source code repository. Jenkins is performing all the builds and it is automatically promoting the code to the higher environments. Right? Hope it's clear now what we are trying to achieve. Yes. So using Jenkins, we have integrated the slave node, that is a build environment, and the Tomcat server to perform the automated application builds and deployments. Ansible is just can be used for deployment. Instead of publish or as a plugin, you can use Ansible to deploy changes. Ansible can able to identify the artifacts from your slave node and copy to the target server. It is possible. I'll show you once I start with the Ansible module. There I'll show you how you can able to automate your application builds also through Ansible. Easy. Shall I move on next topic or you guys have any question? Slave node is used for build. Slave node is just used for build, used to build the application. Tomcat server is used for deployment. Jenkins masternode is used for creating the CSD pipeline to automate this build and deployment. Simple. Right? Is that still confusing or like, have you, Mishra, right? Have you practiced it yesterday session? Have you created any simple CSD by Jenkins job yesterday? We started Jenkins. Have you used my class notes and launched a Jenkins server? Able to create a pipe, I mean, a CSD project till application build, the slave node configurations. Yes, right. Priyanka Mishra Patak. So, as part of your build, you have the application artifacts that has to be deployed to a target server. That is what we did now. Simple. Target is nothing but your remote server, your target environment, like your QA server, UAT, or production server. Satish, I've given you the process to perform the application slave node configuration, right? You can follow the same. The notes, whatever I copied, I shared, it's a complete reference, complete notes actually. I never missed anything. Whatever I explained you, it is there in the class notes as well as the recordings. So shall we move to the next topic here? Now, shall I proceed or any other questions, guys? Shall I proceed or any other questions? Hey, please say something here. Am I audible or not? What's the problem? Why is there no response today? Hope all are available online, right? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. So the next thing is we'll be discussing about the email notifications. Listen carefully. So here, this is the pipeline which we have created. Guys, don't practice anything there. Don't practice anything now. Listen, please. Remove prefix means it just removes that prefix from your file name because the actual file name, it is something represented with your folder name, target folder. Folder name followed by the war file, right? So as part of deployment, you need only the war file. You don't want this prefix to be copied to the target folder. That is the reason we just remove these prefix in your SSH configuration. Right. Fine. So now that I have created the CSD pipeline that can automate the application build and deployment. Let's say, for example, here during this SEM checkout, while I'm cloning this repository to my build environment, if the SEM checkout stage fails, we have to notify the developer stating that this SEM checkout stage is failing. They will verify the repository URL and they can able to fix that issue. Similarly, we are doing some application build. As part of application build, we compile the source code. If there is any compilation error occurs, or while perform unit testing, if any of the unit test cases fails, right? So what we can do, we have to notify the developer through email. So how we can able to send email through Jenkins? That is what we're going to learn now. So Jenkins can be integrated with any email server. So if you want to work with email notifications, first you need to understand what are all the various scenarios we can send the email notifications. Okay, so I can send the email if the job is failing, or I can send the email if the job is successful. Okay, or I can able to send it if the job is unstable. So these are the three important scenarios where we'll be sending notifications. Successful means I have created a job and the job is successfully executed. Let's say after deployment, I have to notify my testing team stating that we have deployed the changes to test environment. Please take it for further testing. Like that, we should send some email notification testing team. That is in successful state. Right. So if that deployment fails, in that case also we can send the notification to the application team stating that deployment is failing. Or sometimes, due to some network issue or some other reason, the job might get aborted. It is not because of the command or execution. Due to some external issues, the job might get aborted. So if job aborts, at that time also we can send the notification. So to set up the email notification, first we need to set up the email server. So for this demo, we are going to use your Gmail account. Hope you all have Gmail account, right? So first we can configure the Gmail account in your Jenkins configuration. To do this, you have to go to manage Jenkins and under system configuration, you can go to the email notification tab and configure the server configurations. So there are some prerequisites here. Okay. So before you actually go to this page, right? All that you should do here is you have to configure the application token in your Gmail server. Have you all have you enabled multi-factor authentication in your account, guys? In your Gmail account, have you enabled multi-factor authentication? Yes, no. So that is a requirement actually, not in AWS. I'm talking about your email server. That is a Gmail account, your personal Gmail account. Okay. So first thing, I can't show you a demo of all these things now because it is your personal account, but I can give you the steps that you can able to perform. So log into your Gmail account and you can go to the manage account settings. Hope you know how to go to the manage account settings, right? And there at the left side panel, you can see something called security. If you click on the security tab, you'll get an option to enable the multi-factor authentication. It will expect you to enter the mobile number, add your mobile number. You'll be getting some OTP for verification and all. Once the mobile number is verified, then on the same page, the same security page, you search for app password. There is a search bar. Enter this character, search for app password, and it will ask you to configure the application password. App password is nothing but a token. It's something like in your GitHub repository, have you created access token? Have you created access token in your GitHub repository to perform your push event, right? Remember, similarly, yeah, classic token you must have created, right? Similarly, in your Gmail account, you are going to create one access token. That is what here it is called as app password. They use the term app password to that app token. So once multi-factor authentication is enabled, then only you can create the app password. Correct. So once you click on that app password, it will ask for the name of the token which you want to create. Enter the name and for what purpose you want to create. You just enter the purpose as email. That's it. Got it? Yeah, it is safe. No problem. It is safe. That is the reason I could not share it through your screen now. It's all your personal account. You can able to do it. So once you enter the name of the token and the purpose of the token, it will immediately generate 16 bytes of app password like this. Okay. Why? Because whenever we talk about the web service, if you want to access any web service through external APIs or through any CLI commands, we always use a token-based authentication. Correct? We use the token-based authentication to access your web services. That is the reason you used your token to access your GitHub repository through your CLI. If you want to directly access, you can use your password on your web browser. But now, through Jenkins server, you're going to access your Gmail server. For that, you should provide your app token. Easy. Now, once you're ready with this, log into your Jenkins dashboard, like something like this. From here, go to Manage Jenkins. From here, just go to Manage Jenkins. And in this Manage Jenkins, you can see something called System Configuration. So just go to the System Configuration. I told you, right? Under Global System Configuration, we can configure the remote service. As like how you configured your email server, your publish OS is remote server. Just above that, you can see something called email notification. So this is a place where you can configure your email service. This is just for server configuration. So in this page, there is something called SMTP server. You have to enter this value. SMTP server for Gmail server is smtp.gmail.com. Right. And what is the email suffix at the rate? gmail.com. ID can be anything. Now, use this advanced settings. I just document it here, okay? After entering your email server, use that advanced settings, and here enable this option checkbox, use SMTP authentication. Now you have to enter the username. Username is nothing but the email ID, your email ID. Okay. And it is expecting the password here, right? So this password is nothing but that 16 bytes app token which you created here. That should be entered as an input here. Easy. So your email ID and your app token as an input. And enable this SSL for your SMTP, and then use your SMTP port number. SMTP port number for this is 465. That is for Gmail server. So it means through your Jenkins, you're going to access this Gmail server using this port number with these credentials. Easy. And if you want, you can able to enter your reply to address. As well as you can able to validate your test configurations also, something like this. So once you enter your proper email ID, your SMTP server details, everything is successful. If you click on test configuration, Jenkins will send one test email to your inbox. So this is just to validate your email server. Any question? If you want, you can take a snapshot of this. So in your email notification tab, enter the SMTP server details, your email ID and the app password whatever generated, enable the SSL, and you can enter the email ID for test configuration. For Gmail server, SMTP port is always 465. Easy. Any question? Shall we proceed with this? Now, once your email server is configured, how you are going to send the email to the users? So as I told you already, emails should be sent as a post-build action. Once your build is completed, depends upon the status, you can send the notification. For example, let me take the same pipeline for your demo. Okay. So here, this is my SEM checkout stage, right? So just wanted to verify the SEM checkout process. I just want to send the email if the SEM checkout is failing. So whenever the SEM checkout fails, I want to send the email. So what I can do as part of this stage here, this is a stage name, and within the stage, I'm running this task. Once the task is completed, once the build step is completed, I want to use a post build action. So this is a post build action. Okay. So post is a keyword. Under that, I'm using the scenario, failure scenario. If this build step is failing, I want to send the notification. So for that, I can use my IDs. Like I can enter the BCC body of the email, CC address, from address, reply to subject of the email, as well as the to address. So this is what the syntax we use to send the emails. So how the syntax can be generated means, it's simple. Go to your snippet generator. Okay, you know how to go to snippet generator, right? From your pipeline syntax. Here you search for email. Mail. Now you got all these details. You can enter the to address, CC address, BCC address, subject line, body of that email, everything. and generate. So you got the script here. You just copy this into your post build action. Simple. So subject of that email, it can be any description you can give. Or if you want, you can able to pass the environment variables also. Like we can pass the build URL or build number, everything is possible there. You see, I'll give you this simple example also. If you want, I can give all these scenarios, 3 scenarios for the scenario, for this demo. Listen carefully. So now, if the build is successful, I can directly proceed for deployment. Now, during this deployment, right? If the deployment is successful, I want to send that success note to that user, stating that deployment is successful, right? If the deployment is failing, what I can do? I can able to send the fail notification. So while sending this, if you want, you can able to send some constant value like Jenkins job status, or you can send some job URL also. This is a build URL. Remember, it's an environment variable, right? So this will be more informative, like developers from their email itself, they can able to see the build URL. If they click on the URL, it will automatically take them to the Jenkins URL. You see? So either you can give some constant value or it can be a constant value along with the environment variable for more information. So when you run this job, if the build is successful, it will try to deploy a change to target server. During the deployment, if the deployment is successful, it will send this email. If the deployment is failure, you'll be getting this email stating that deployment is failed. If the deployment is aborted, you'll be getting this email. So like this, we can able to send the email notifications at various scenarios. Understood? Any question here? Can you able to make it? You can use anything to generate a script, that doesn't matter. Integration of email notification, emails like Gmail server, I showed you now. Similarly, in your enterprise level, if you're using Microsoft Outlook, you can set up that Microsoft Outlook email server details here. Instead of Gmail, it will be like Microsoft Outlook. Or sometimes you'll be integrating with the Microsoft Teams. I want to send the notification through Teams channel or Slack Messenger. For all these things, we have plugin. Just go to your plugins management. If you want to integrate your Slack or Teams channel, go to the plugins management and install the required plugins. We have a Slack notification plugin. Install the plugin and you can pass the required parameters to the plugin to integrate in Jenkins. Simple. So are you clear with this process now? How to send the notifications? So I repeat, if you want to enable any email notification, first you need to understand what are all the various scenarios we can send the notification. So as a post-build action, once a build is completed, if the build is successful, failure or aborted, we can able to send the notifications. To do that, first you need to identify your email server, whether you need to use Gmail or Outlook. And in that email server, you have to create the app password. To create the app password, log into the Gmail server under manage account settings. You can able to choose security tab and there you can enable the two-way authentication first and then create app password. Once app password is ready, you can able to use that app password in your email server configuration under manage Jenkins of your system configuration. So go to manage Jenkins system configuration, and there you can find email notification. There you can configure your SMTP server URL, username and password for authentication, choose SSL and the port number. Once you configure all these parameters, then you can create your pipeline with this notifications. So you can able to use your snippet generator to generate this notification scripts. Easy. So a stage can have a build step as well as a post build step. This post build step execution is based upon the build step. If the build step is successful, if this step is successful, this post build action will be executed. Else, it will execute the failure case. Like that, it depends upon your scenario for which purpose you want to enable. Based upon that, you will see the notifications. Easy. You are clear with this? Guys, any question on this, please let me know. See, email is not configured here, okay? At enterprise level, you'll be having an email server, right? Your Gmail server is already available. The Gmail server, whatever I'm saying here, it is available. It is available as a web service. You are going to access it as software as a service, right? So the email can be configured in anywhere. That doesn't matter how you are accessing in your pipeline. That is very important. So to generate the script, these scripts, it's very simple. Go to your pipeline syntax generator. And here you can choose a mail step. And you can see the to address, CC address, BCC, subject, and then body of the email. So all that I did here is I just created these things. This is the subject of your email. So whatever the message you want to enter, you can enter this and generate the script. You get it. All right. Any question? Guys, do you have any question now? Are we good with this or any questions? Please let me know. All good? Okay. So take this reference. Since it is your personal account, I don't want to expose it. So better you can use these steps to create it. It's all very straightforward and you're using Gmail for many years. So you should know how to access your account settings, right? And then in your Jenkins server, you can configure it. It should be fine. Now, the next important thing is about the build triggers. So as part of our CSD pipeline, we have created these many stages. We have handled all the positive and negative scenarios to send the notifications. We perform the automated builds and deployments, right? But all these things are happening manually. That means once the code is ready, I have to manually trigger this job. I have to click on this build, then only the job gets triggered, right? But as part of your continuous deployment strategy, whenever the code is committed to source code repository, that code should automatically get built and deployed. It means this pipeline should get triggered automatically. In real-time environment, developers will not go to this build now option and trigger the build. They never do any manual build actually. Their role is to commit the code in the repository. As soon as they commit source code in the repository, pipeline should automatically get triggered. So all these things can be done through your build triggers. So there is an option called triggers. Okay, so that is what the next topic. So how we can able to automate or schedule the job to execute. That's what we're going to discuss now. If you want, you can have a quick break and come back, or I can continue directly. Anything is fine for me. How much time you need? 5 minutes sufficient? Please respond something, guys. What does this? What I'm asking, how much time you need for a break? 10 minutes, right? Okay, that's good. That is what I expected. Okay, just if you respond, right, we can accordingly plan the things. You want to speak, I can enable you to speak. I can enable your mic, no problem for me. No one asked for that so far, so I just expecting you the response in chat window. If you really want to speak, you can unmute your line, no problem for me. So shall we proceed? Oh, still timer is running. Why the timer is very slow today? Hey, today is the last day here. We have only one more topic to be covered in Jenkins. That is by using your build triggers. That's it. Today we'll be completing Jenkins, and tomorrow you'll be having your next module. Next module you'll be having great gap. You'll be notified. Nikhil, don't worry, it's not me. All right, guys. So I think timer is up. So shall we proceed? See, today is the last day for your Jenkins module. Okay, and I'm on the last topic of your Jenkins module, build triggers. All right, so let's focus on this now, please. So as part of your Jenkins job, right, as I told you already, Jenkins is used to do some process automation. Okay, so Jenkins is not just for your CI/CD pipeline creation and the build and deployment process. It is having lots of use cases to automate your application builds, automated deployments, automated testing, automated server provisioning, configurations, everything. Correct? So if you want to automate your job to trigger, right, we can use this build triggers option. So as part of this, we'll be learning about three important build triggers. One we call it as build periodic. And another thing is GitHub webhook. And the last thing is about the poll SEM. So these are the three important, build triggers supported by Jenkins. So what does build periodic means? It is used to automate a build. Okay, so whenever you want to automate your Jenkins job for any task automation, it is not just for CSD pipeline. To automate any of your process, right, you can able to use build periodic option. And it is scheduled using the cron tab. Cron tab means it is used to define your time when you want to start. Like in your Linux module, you must have learned about cron tab to schedule your Linux scripting. Similarly here in Jenkins, we can even schedule it. So to do that, listen carefully, go to your project here and enable this checkbox, build periodic checkbox. It expects a schedule. Okay. So let's say I want to run this job for every 5 minutes, or I want to run it for every 10 minutes, or every day morning at 8 a.m. We can able to define a schedule here. So how to define a schedule means, see, there is a help option. Just use this check question mark that will take you to the help feature. And as I told you already, Jenkins is a very intuitive tool. Okay. What are the information you need for each and every field? You can able to get the information there itself. So if you want to know what are all the values you can pass here means, you can understand. So any cron tab will be having 5 parameters. One is minutes, hours, day of the month, and day of the week. Based upon these 5 parameters, we can able to schedule the build. Okay, I hope you already studied this in your Linux module, right? Using this only we schedule our Linux projects or Linux shell scripts. So now, if there is an example. Let's say if you want to execute a job for every 15 minutes, this is a cron tab. Okay, so I can simply have it here. Or if you want to execute for every minute, you can simply say asterisk here. So I want to execute this job every minute. So just save this job. That's it. Enable the build periodic option and set the schedule and save it. As soon as you save it, right, Jenkins will continuously, monitoring this schedule. And once it reaches that schedule, it will automatically run the job. See, this build number 5 is getting triggered now. I haven't triggered the build. It is automatically getting triggered. If you want, you can check the console output here. Let me right click on this and go to the console output. So the latest build number 5 console output I'm trying to open now. See, this build number 5 was started by the timer. Build number 5. If I'm not closing it, right, it will keep on executing the job. Okay. So if you can see the previous job, build number 4, it was executed manually by this user. But the latest build number 5, it got started by the timer. Now the build number 6 also getting executed. Like this, every minute the job will get executed, okay? Because we just scheduled it like this. Understood? So irrespective of your scheduling, okay, job, if you want to automate your build, you can able to use your build periodic. That's why it is used to trigger Jenkins job and it is used to perform any process automation. So if you're not sure about the cron tab, definitely you must have learned it in your Linux module. If it is not, you're not sure about it, this is a web reference for that. You can able to use this link to understand more about the cron tab. Even most of the Linux users must be aware of this page. They must be using in the real time actually. So here in this page, you can find some examples also. Like if you want to run a job for every minute, or if you want to run it for every 30 minutes, or once in 2 hours if you want to execute, or if you want to execute job every day morning at 8 a.m. Right? So we have a lot of scenarios. This is for every minute. This is for every 30 minutes, right? So simply copy this and schedule it in your job. That's it. Easy. So this is how we configured our build periodic option. So for what purpose? Why I should schedule this job to run every day morning 8 a.m. or what is the reason for it? Means there are a lot of use cases. If you want, I can give you one real-time scenario. Okay. You guys completed the AWS model, right? And we have various environments. Like consider we have environments like non-prod as well as prod, right? Under non-prod, what are things we have? Dev, QA, UAT, correct? And as part of production, we can have some prod servers, correct? Yes or no? So what is the availability of this non-prod server and what is the availability of prod server? Any guess? Hmm? What is the availability of a prod server? What is the availability of non-prod server? So this prod server should be available 24/7, correct? Because our actual applications are live there. End users are using that application. Let's say if you're talking about Amazon.com, we're using Netflix. We'll be using Netflix at any time. So it means the server which is responsible to run the Netflix application should be available 24/7, correct? Hope you're listening, all of you. So production servers should be available 24/7. What about the non-prod servers? Can we run these non-prod servers 24/7? Hmm? No, not necessary. These non-prod servers should be available only during business hours. Only when developers are available, I need the server to be up and running. Only when testing team is available, I need their servers to be available, right? So only during business hours, the non-prod server should be available. So let's say, for example, I want to enable this non-prod server morning at 8 a.m. and it should be shut down at 10 p.m. So every day morning sharp at 8 a.m., all the non-prod servers should be started. Okay. And similarly, at 10 p.m., I want to stop all the non-prod server. So in real-time environment, there will be hundreds of servers, hundreds of dev environment, hundreds of test environments. Is it possible to manually go to your AWS console and start all the servers one by one at 8 a.m.? No, right? So what we can do means we can able to write some script. It can be a shell script or a Python script or anything using your AWS CLI commands or using a CloudFormation, right? We can simply write one script and that script can be executed using Jenkins. So what I'll do here is I'll be creating one Jenkins job. Okay. So that Jenkins job can able to start my service, right? So it's something like this. So this job project one, it can be scheduled to run at 8 a.m. or in the morning as per you need. Like I can say like 7:45 a.m. And similarly, another job, Jenkins job can be scheduled to run at 10:15 p.m. So morning, if I start this job at 7:45 a.m., at 8 a.m., all my servers will be up and running. It will take at least 10 minutes to start all the servers. Booting time is required for all the VMs. So on that consideration, I can say 15 minutes earlier. Similarly, I can able to stop all the servers at 10:15 p.m. So this way we can able to use our build triggers to automate your jobs. Easy? Any question? So this is about your build periodic option with one use case. Similarly, there is another important topic that is about your GitHub webhook. So this GitHub webhook is another important, scheduling in Jenkins, which is used to automate a build. So here the requirement is whenever there is a build, changes happen in the repository. This GitHub webhook is used to trigger the Jenkins job whenever there is any commit happen in the remote repository. For example, where is the remote repository? Let me log into your repository here. So this is a project, right? So this is my Java project. So whenever the developer push the changes to this master branch, it can be from the Visual Studio Code or any other medium. Once they push the changes to this master branch, immediately I want this job to be executed. This job should get triggered. So how it is possible means by using this GitHub webhook. So to do this, GitHub webhook has to be configured in the remote repository by using Jenkins URL. So first go to your GitHub repository. And here, this is my GitHub repository, right? And for any repository, there'll be some settings. I hope in your Git module, you must have learned it. You can navigate to this GitHub repository settings, and you can find some option called webhooks. Can you see this webhook option? Here, you can click on add webhook. I have enabled MFA. 1 minute. Let me waiting it up. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. All right. So go to the repository level URL. Okay. Go to this repository level settings and go to the webhook and click on add webhook. It will ask for the payload URL. So this payload URL is nothing but your Jenkins URL. Okay. So what you can do here is go to your Jenkins server. This is my current Jenkins server. Take that server URL along with the port number and followed by the keyword called GitHub webhook. GitHub-webhook. That's it. So once you enter these details, automatically that particular thing will be considered for your webhook trigger. So copy this URL and have it here as a payload URL. So it means I am just notifying this GitHub repository with my Jenkins URL as a payload URL and with this tag called GitHub webhook tag. So it is going to give some API call and it is going to return some output response, right? So this response can be captured in the form of JSON format, the content type, and for which event you want to trigger the webhook. So my requirement is whenever I push the changes into the repository, for every push event, I want to trigger this webhook. So it will be the default option just for push event and make it as active and click on add webhook. Easy. So I repeat, guys, is it my voice is clear to all or any issues? So here, go to your repository level settings, click on your project name, click on repository level settings, and you can find the webhook. In that webhook option, if you click on the webhook, you'll be getting an option to add new webhook. Click on add webhook and at the payload URL, enter that Jenkins URL. It should be a public IP address of your node followed by port 8080 and use the tag GitHub-webhook in small case. And the content type should be JSON and ensure that it is pointing for every push event and make it as active. So since we are using our free tier account, this public IP will change whenever you restart your server, right? So as soon as you restart this Jenkins server, you have to go to your repository settings and edit this, change your payload URL. But in real-time environment, it won't happen like that because there we use the permanent static IP address or a DNS. Hope in your AWS model, you must have done your Route 53 service, right? DNS service. So using the DNS service, we can enable the DNS name for your application, web application. Got it? So it can be a static or elastic IP address. Easy? Any question on this configuration? Guys, any question here? It's very simple. Enter the payload URL. I just documented here, okay? Don't worry. It's for your reference. And click on add webhook. So now the webhook is ready. Tomorrow, if you want to change the settings, just click on edit and change the IP address. Simple. Or delete and recreate as per your choice. So once the webhook is created, what you can do, go to your project and here just simply enable this checkbox and save your job. That's it. So it means we have defined the webhook for this particular source code repository. So now your Jenkins, that payload URL, whatever we entered, right, it will be continuously monitoring a repository. Say for example here, if I make any changes in any of this source code, let's say this is my application repository, I can go to any of this page and I can edit the component, anything, for example. any changes I make and I can commit this. See, we just committed it now. And let me go to this job. See, one build is getting scheduled now. Can you see this? As soon as I commit the changes in the repository, it is triggering one build because I have enabled the GitHub webhook trigger for SEM polling. If you go to the console output of that job, build number 7. So if you go to the console output of that job, you can able to see the status by whom it is getting executed. See, this build number 7 got executed by using the push event. It is started by GitHub push event by the GitHub user. This ID is not my Jenkins ID, it is a GitHub login ID. All right. So any question here? So this is what we call it as a continuous deployment. Developers no need to manually click on the build option. Okay. As soon as they commit the code in the repository, your Jenkins pipeline will automatically get triggered. It will identify the latest code, perform the build, create the artifacts, and deploy to the target server. Easy? Any question here? All good? All right. And the next important type of scheduling is poll SEM. Listen carefully. So this poll SEM is something used to trigger your build based on the cron tab. As like how we configure the cron tab in your Jenkins build periodic option. Here also we're going to set up the cron tab. But the job will be executed only if there is any changes happen in the repository. Got it? Say for example, if I go to this job here, I have an option called poll SEM. If I enable this checkbox, it is asking for the schedule, right? So I can simply schedule this job to run for every 15 minutes if you want. I can use this cron tab. Okay. So 15th minute of every hour, this job will get executed for sure. But if you use poll SEM means this job will be executed only if there's any changes happen in that source code repository. If there is no commit happen in the repository, it won't trigger the job. Understood the difference? Can you understand the difference between build periodic and poll SEM? So when you say build periodic, it will schedule the job to run for every 15 minutes. Whether you update your repository or not at a secondary, it triggers a job every 15 minutes. But the poll SCM will try to run the job for every 15 minutes, but it will execute only if there's any changes happen in the remote repository. If there is no changes happen, it won't trigger the job. You see? For example, if I make it to run for every minute, and if I click on apply, do you think every minute it will execute the job? No. It will check for the repository. So in that repository, if we make any changes, for example, if I edit the file and if I make any changes here, and if I commit the changes, even if I commit the change, it won't immediately trigger the job. It will wait for the schedule to occur. We have 60 seconds time, right? That's what no, we have enabled for every minute. It means in that 60 seconds of time, if there's any commit happens, then only it will execute the job. Otherwise, it won't. Able to understand? If you want, I'll give you one small real-time scenario. Okay, listen, please. You guys are aware of test cycles? Test cycles. Guys, are you? Test cycle means in real-time scenarios, right? In some organizations, people using a monolith application architecture, they'll be using some test cycles. Like for example, my build artifacts are ready, but the testing team can able to test that application based upon some time frame. Like for example, morning 8 a.m., they can do the testing. And the next slot will be at 12 p.m. And next slot will be 3 p.m. It means every day, 3 times they'll do a testing level. That is what the test cycle means. So between 8 and 12, developers can able to make any number of commits in the repository. Okay. So testing team wants to consolidate all their commits and do the testing at 12 p.m. Similarly, between 12 and 3, developers can make any number of commits and it will consolidate all the commits and do the testing at 3 p.m. So whenever the more than one developers are working with multiple changes, okay, and if you want to test all their scenarios together, in that case, we can able to schedule it to run using Polyscium. But if you compare to the GitHub webhook, as soon as you commit, it will trigger the build and do the testing. But now my requirement is, I don't want to trigger the build immediately. Okay, it should wait for schedule to happen because it is not just about my changes. Okay, I have my peers also there. They also want to have some changes tested together, right? So that is the reason we use Polyscium here. So developers, they can make any number of commits in source code repository between 8 and 12. And 12 o'clock, the build will start. What if developers are not making any changes between 8 and 12? Do you still want to run it at 12 p.m.? Are you getting a question? Assume that developers has not made any changes between 8 and 12. Do you still want to run the test job? No, right? Not required. That is what your Polyscium is going to do. It will check for that repository. Between this time slot, if there's any changes happen, then only it will trigger. Otherwise, it won't. So that is what happened in our case also. If you can see the latest build, you can see build number 8 got executed. If I go to this console output of the job, you should see the build is based upon the Polyscium. See, let's start by SCM change. So like this, we have nearly 4 different types of triggers in Jenkins. What are 4 types of triggers here? What are the 4 types we discussed here? Guys, please respond. Are you listening or? What are the 4 types of triggers? So the first thing is manual trigger. If you can see the previous output and all, we have manually triggered the job. This is the first trigger. And second type of trigger is by using timer. The third type of trigger is by using GitHub webhook. And the fourth type of trigger is by using SCM change. So as a DevOps resource, just by looking at your console output itself, you should be able to figure out whether the job got triggered using Polyscium, GitHub webhook, build periodic, or manually. This is what expected. Okay, it is not just like we're triggering it. Okay, console output will clearly says the trigger point. Easy. So this is how we use Jenkins. Tomorrow, once you start with working with your Ansible, Kubernetes, again, we are going to come back to Jenkins module. Jenkins is not just over, okay? Once we start with Docker module, we'll be learning about all the Docker core concepts, and I'll show you how you can integrate your Docker and Jenkins together. How you can able to automate your containerization using Jenkins. Once it is done, again, we can integrate this with Kubernetes. Through Kubernetes also, we can able to automate the builds as well as the deployments. There, it will be like a continuous deployment process where we'll be using some auto scaling, scheduling, a lot of things are there. Okay. And not only this, Jenkins, can be used while working with your Terraform and Ansible for infrastructure provisioning. Hope you know, right? In your AWS model, you must have learned about cloud formation templates, right? So using cloud formation, we can able to provision the resources. Similarly, we have Terraform to provision the resource, right? Terraform is to provision the resource. So when we say Terraform, it helps to provision the resources from any platform. It can be AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. And if you want to automate the provisioning, we can use Jenkins. So once I complete Terraform module, I'll show you how you can integrate the Terraform scripts and use Terraform scripts in Jenkins automation. All right. Because if you consider the build environment, right? As of now, what we did, we have performed the deployment. The chains are deployed to QA server, for example. It means before you execute the stage, the QA server should be up and running, correct? That's what we did here, right? Yes or no? In order to run this job, I should have my build server and the QA server should be available, should be up and running, correct? Yes or no? Yeah, are you listening? What if the QA server is not present? I got a requirement. The testing team needs the QA server should be generated dynamically. They don't want any static servers like this. Okay, so we have to use some IAC tools like CloudFormation or Terraform to dynamically provision the resource first. So that will be done through your Jenkins. Tomorrow, once I start with Terraform, I will show you how you can write your Terraform scripts to automatically provision the resource. Once that resource provisioning is done, we can use a script in Jenkins to automate the process of resource provisioning. Not only resource provisioning, based upon it, you can able to configure it in your Ansible also. Using Ansible also, we can able to configure it. You see? And another interesting factor here is there is something called load balancing and scaling, right? Auto scaling. Have you worked with auto scaling group in your AWS? So it depends upon the resource consumption or resource utilization, the auto scaling should happen, right? So that can be done through your Jenkins. We can able to integrate Jenkins there. So whenever I deploy anything to my target environment, if the target resource consumption is more, okay, I can able to trigger another thread or another task that will enable your scaling. As per my need, I can able to scale up or scale down. I can go with a vertical scaling or a horizontal scaling. A lot of things are there. Okay, once you start with Terraform and Kubernetes, especially because in Kubernetes only we're going to work with multiple target nodes using clusters. It can be in one region or in multiple regions, right? Fine. So that's it. As part of Jenkins is concerned, you have to be very clear about all these topics. And very important thing is, if you see my Jenkins master node, so what is the default directory for Jenkins master? /var/lib/Jenkins, right? So this is the default directory of Jenkins. Okay. So I told you some responsibilities. Remember, as part of Jenkins, we are responsible to perform some periodic upgrade of Jenkins service and plugins, right? So I told you how to upgrade your plugin through plugins management. Similarly, we can able to upgrade your Jenkins service also. And during the time, you should not lose your changes. Let's say I'm upgrading my Jenkins service. My existing jobs, my existing configuration should not get altered. For that, we'll be taking some periodic backup. So in your AWS model, you must have learned about the snapshots, right? Volume level snapshots and all. So you can able to periodically take a snapshot of a Jenkins server. That is nothing but your Jenkins directory. So this directory, which is containing all the Jenkins components, should be backed up into an external volume. So that even if this server got crashed, you can use that as a backup to quickly recover the data. That is what we call it as periodic backup means. To do this, you'll be using your storage administrators. They'll be providing you the backup volumes. And as per the enterprise level, what are all the backup and restoration strategy they follow, they can use it for Jenkins also. Right. And throughout the process of Jenkins project creation and onboarding applications, you might be getting a lot of issues, a lot of errors. So the troubleshooting is one of the important thing. And luckily, the Jenkins is very intuitive tool. If a job is failing for any reason, or if your configuration is failing for any reason, it will clearly give you the message in which job, in which line, what is error actual error occurs. It will clearly identify each and everything in detail, so you can quickly fix the issue. Got it? So for your level, since you are all freshers learning Jenkins for the very first time, whenever you practice anything, if you're getting any errors, right, I strongly recommend please have a separate documentation for that. Okay, just have a habit of documenting your errors. Like you can open an Excel sheet. In very first column, you can mention the error message. What is the error you're getting? And how you resolved it. What is the reason for that error and how you resolved it. Just maintain this details in your separate Excel sheet. Have it as a practice from today. Whatever the error, even if it is small error also, just have a habit of documenting it. So first column will be the error message, error description. Second column, you should mention the reason for the error. What is the root cause? And the third column, just mention like the fix, how you fix the error. So if you have a habit of documenting these errors, right? It is not just for Jenkins, I'm saying. Tomorrow, while working with Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible, Terraform, you'll be getting a lot of issues when you configure the resources. Just have a habit of documenting it, because this is what during interviews, right, you might be getting. People will be asking you while you're practicing or while you're implementing these tools, have you faced any challenges or not? What are all the challenges you faced and how you fix those issues? If you get such questions, right, it will be useful for you to answer those questions. You properly document it. Otherwise, you'll be forgetting. Today you solve something, and after 3 months, by completing Kubernetes module, you won't remember what you did in Jenkins module. So don't give the chance. Just have a habit of documenting it. And for this particular module, especially, just go with the flow. Starting from the very first thing, whatever I shared with you, step by step, try to implement one by one. I hope the class notes are very much clear, right, to everyone. With these notes, can you able to independently practice. So Mahesh, what type of machine you're using? Is it Ubuntu 22.04 version or latest version? I told you latest version is not reliable, so better you try with the previous version, Ubuntu 20.04 version. right? So utilize my class notes and recordings and try to practice Jenkins module. And on day one itself, I told you, if you are comfortable in all these steps, right, you are ready for interview. Don't wait till the end of your Kubernetes module and all. Once you practice all these things, just prepare your resume and upload it. Look for the opportunities. Check how much calls you're getting. Just mention like you're done your Jenkins training or you have Jenkins 2 years of experience in the current company. Like just mention and update your profile. Check what is the response. Correct? Because this is what in real-time environment people are doing actually. If you ask any resource who is working in Jenkins for 2 years, they will say all these activities, not more than that. So you can easily mention 0 to 2 years of experience of Jenkins skills you have now. Provided you should have proper practice of all the core concepts. So your first step, understand the concepts properly and practice it. What are all the demo I showed you, what are all things I showed you, just practice at least 2 or 3 times. Make yourself comfortable. Okay, understand the installation process. Like what are all the steps I given here? You no need to remember each and every command. Okay, they're not expecting any commands here. Okay, but at least you should understand the process. Like as I said, to set up the Tomcat server, what are the steps we have here? Just highlight on a high level, just remove those steps. That's enough. Correct. And then the next important thing is your preparation level. Once you practice all those things thoroughly, then go through your interview-related questions. Okay, interview-related questions means like your FAQs. Browse through it, Google it. Like Jenkins, 0 to 2 years of experience, FAQs, interview FAQs, 2025. You search like that, you'll be getting a lot of FAQs. Go through it. You will get to know how the questions are being asked in interviews, just for your reference. Once you cover all those FAQs, then you can search for the scenario-based questions. What are all the scenario-based questions related to Jenkins for 0 to 2 years of experience resource? Search for it. You'll be getting more scenarios as per the real-time scenario process. So if you prepare all these things properly, next day itself, you can upload your profile in your any of your job portals or LinkedIn or somewhere and look for the calls and opportunities. Once you get any call, just attend the calls for sake of experience. Don't say that, no, I'm doing preparations, I need time. No, not like that. Don't skip any interviews. Just attend the interview for sake of experience. It is also a learning process, right? Initial 1 or 2 interviews, you can take it as a learning process. All right. Based upon that experience, you can fine tune yourself and upgrade it. Mahesh, that is what I told you here, right? If you can see, all these configurations are based upon your, I told you, right? The latest version is not stable. I'm expecting you to use 20.04 version. Are you listening or not? Don't use 24.04 version. It is not a stable version. Just use 22.04. See? Are you guys clear with this? All right. So that's it about your Jenkins module. If you have any question, please let me know now. I'll be updating this class notes, references, everything. Any questions from anyone? No, 1 year gap and all, it's not an issue because you are not idle, right? You are preparing something, no? You're doing this certification, right? You're preparing this DevOps, learning this DevOps, right? It's all considered training experience only. No problem. So please remember this, okay? For example, here I use something called Jenkins architecture here, right? Jenkins master architecture. Just remember this architecture. Tomorrow, once I start with Docker, I will show you how to configure all these things using Docker. As of now, it's all running in VM, right? But tomorrow, once we start with Docker, we can able to configure all these things using Docker containers itself, which is more effective than VM. That is what the power of containers. So in Docker module, you'll be learning about the same configurations can be executed through containers as well as your application deployments also. Like how you can able to package your application artifacts and deploy target server, right? You'll be learning there. Any other questions from anyone? Yeah, I just documented, I mean, shared all the documents in your repository. Any question? So you have 2 years of experience as a QA tester. Can I get a DevOps? Nikhil, right? Are you currently working? Are you currently working or no? What is your current profile? Are you working currently or you are you are in break now? You are on break, right? 1 year break you are having. Okay. So what you can do, you can mention these DevOps training. Okay. The reason for break, you should have a valid reason. Definitely they'll expect a reason for this break, but still during this time, you are not idle, right? So you are preparing for certification, DevOps certification, you are learning AWS. So all these things will be considered as a training experience. Okay. And also you have your prior experience on your domain testing, right? So definitely it won't be any problem. It's just 1 year, right? It's okay. And this time period. But you have to be prepared, okay? You have to prepare a lot. You have to prepare a lot. As like I said, first go through the core concepts using my class notes and recordings, and then practice all the demo, whatever I shared, and then search for the interview related FAQs and the scenario based questions. Don't follow any static questionnaires, okay? Vedika, right? You're asking for some questions, documentation, right? No, don't follow such things. Google it. While searching also, the prompt, whatever giving, that's very important. Like Jenkins FAQs for 0 2 years of experience, 2025, the year. If you mention it right, you'll be getting some latest interview questions. That will be easy for you to face the interviews. Instead of that, if you follow any document, questionnaires documents, right? The document might be older one. Even I have a lot of documents. Okay, if it is outdated, there is no use, right? So don't follow any static PDF or any document for your interview preparations. It might get outdated because you can see AWS itself, right? In last 4 months, AWS has introduced many features. AWS has withdrawn many features. Hope you're aware of it. Are you continuously, monitoring it, the business, what AWS are doing now? Just go through their white papers. There are a lot of features they are introducing as well as they are reducing actually. So don't go with any static document, just go with the official document that are published on their website very frequently. That is the best option to prepare for interviews. Understood? No, and Anjan, that is not an issue. 1 year experience Java and gap 2 years of master. I have been, yeah, no problem, no problem. You're preparing, right? That's not an issue. See, as of now, don't worry about your, interview gaps and all. Okay, that is not a priority. Definitely, it can be addressed. Okay, your resume should speak. People who are having gap, right? You should have a valid reason to justify that, and don't highlight all the things in your resume. First of all, I'm telling you, for everyone, people who are having gap 1 year or 1.5 years, do not highlight all those things in your resume. Just mention all your skill sets, all your experiences. What are things you learned? What are things you have practiced? What are things you have experienced? Just mention all your skill sets in your resume. Don't mention any gap in your profile. Just prepare it on high level and share it with them. Once they ask, then you can justify. Justify one to one. That is what the best convincing mode. If you mention your gap and other stuff in your resume, right, your resume might not get shortlisted. First, your resume should go inside. Then you can talk and convince them. That is easily done, achievable. So don't mention all your gaps and other stuff in your resume, please. Understood? All right, guys. Any other question from anyone? I'm not getting any questions now. What's the problem? Are you guys okay with the Jenkins module or any other questions? Are you guys able to manage this module? Okay. And the repository, whatever you have, please try to bookmark this and poke the repository. Okay. All right, guys. Let me know if you have any queries now. I'm waiting for your queries. See, AI is actually going to now add more value. Okay, it is going to bring in more opportunities, especially for DevOps resources, the cloud-based resources, and the developers, right? People who are involved in monitoring, right? Server management. So you are getting a lot of opportunities here. You should know how wisely you can use that AI. It is not like AI is going to replace. Okay, it is not like that. It is not going to create any impact for the people who are updated with their knowledge. If you're not ready to accept the change, if you still want to work with your own traditional way, then you'll be out of the system. So just explore new things. What are all the AI tools we have on a high level at least, okay? And how it is going to add value to DevOps and other stuff. Because today we are just learning about DevOps, right? We have DevSecOps, GitOps, MLOps, AIOps, SRE, a lot of things are there, right? So you have a lot many things to learn. So just equip yourself, keep yourself updated with the technologies. Definitely it's easy to survive, right? All right, guys. So any other questions from anyone? Please let me know. I'm just waiting for questions. I can see a lot of silent audience. Guys, this is my last day with your batch, okay? I won't be there for next module. So if you have any concern or any question, let me know right away. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. You'll be notified. You'll be getting notification from your support team about the next module, when it will be started and other stuff. Don't worry. Hope things are good. Are we good with these things? Okay, let me open this poll. Yeah, I will launch the poll now. If possible, you can share your feedback there. Otherwise, it's okay. If you don't have any question, then can I close this? So this instance is whatever I created. Are you guys good with this, Jenkins? Yes, no? Yeah, practice. Okay, that is very important. Practice matters. I It won't be a big challenge for you because what are all the things required, I have documented each and everything in detail. Okay, only thing is you should have some patience to go through my notes step by step, understand and then practice. If you practice this at least for 3 times, right? Like Jenkins server configuration, your Slaver configuration, and your Tomcat server configuration. If you practice this Jenkins model for 3 times, that is more than sufficient. Okay, you will gain good confidence there, but you should practice. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your time, and I really appreciate all your patience and all your feedback, what you shared for the last 3, 4 days. I value that. So, all the best for your career. Keep learning. Okay. I'll delete this term. These instances not required from me now anymore. The notes are up to date in your repository, right? Are you listening or not? That's what I'm saying. No, this repository which I've updated, please bookmark it or take a copy of it. Download it. If you already fork the repository, just click on sync fork. I update the documents here. Everything's up to date there. See, if you think I haven't addressed your question, let me know again. Okay, yes, thank you. Thanks for your time. Bye. Yeah, through Star Archer, you can contact me, no problem. Yeah, please bookmark it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. No, sir. No, Rutuja, nice name. So, yeah, I don't think so because as per the process, we are not supposed to share our credentials to the participants. I mean, our contacts. So, that is a process. So, I could not break the tie. So, anyways, we'll see. Once you complete phase one, right, you'll be there into your interview preparations, a phase two module, mock interviews and all. So I'll be part of the panel actually. So we'll meet. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you all guys. Thanks for your time and all the very best for your learning. Just learn, and practice as much as possible. Okay. It's very easy. Surviving in DevOps field is very, very easy because we have lots of opportunities here. All right. Thank you all. Bye. If you're good, I'll close this call. Thank you.